So I finally got around to doing another experiment. This one I'm calling the copper grounding sleeping experiment, for lack of a better title. I'm gonna get right into it because there's a lot of data to go over and a lot of building setup. I want to make sure it's really clear so other people can replicate this experiment precisely. So yeah, I'll just start with the setup step by step, and then after the setup and showing you how it was built, I'll kind of go over the data and the day-to-day things I noticed from this experiment. So yeah, let's just dive right in. So yeah, I'm gonna be reading notes here, so it's gonna look like I'm staring off in the distance, but I'm reading everything that I wrote down. So for the setup, part one, I started by pushing the tail end of a size 20 gauge copper wire spool through my second floor window, which is where I'm at right now, until it reached the ground outside. Then I pushed through a couple more feet to have some extra wire length for wrapping around the rod. And this rod I'm talking about, it was an 18-inch copper-clad pigtail-shaped rod. I'm going to show a picture right here. And I wrapped several inches of the copper wire around its top side of the rod. It's kind of that oval part side I'm talking about. And also around the lug that you can see in the picture. The lug fastener that comes with those rods, usually you can wrap the wire in between the lug and the base of the rod, and you can fasten and sandwich the wire in between the lug and the rod. Then after that, found an area of soil outside that gets a decent amount of moisture from rain or whatever water source comes through the area of the soil. This is said to help with the electric conductivity the more moist the soil is. So then I also made sure that the area I'm going to dig does not have any power lines or water lines or gas lines beneath, so you don't break any utility lines in the area and cause a disaster. You can call up your local utility places if you're unsure, and they'll help you map out where the utility lines is. I didn't really do that. I thought about doing it, but usually you really got to worry about it if you're doing like a 4-foot or an 8-foot rod into the ground, and this is only an 18-inch deep rod, to be precise. So I was just like, I don't think it's gonna be that bad if we go that deep, and I sticked like a piece of wood in there before just to test if there was anything about 18 inches deep. I didn't feel anything, so at your own risk, basically, how careful you want to be about where you're digging. Back on track. So where was that? Oh yeah. So in the area of soil that I chose, next I submerged the rod fully into the ground to make sure that submersion is easier on yourself. A life hack you can do is to pour a little bit of water over the area for the rod hole, and then to start, you want to put the rod's sharp pointed end, which is basically the south end of the rod, put it on the area you want to put the hole in, push down the rod to start the initial hole. Then when it gets hard to push down further, take the rod out and pour some more water into your newly created hole, and then push the rod back in, shove it in and out a couple times just to get the soil kind of permeated with the water. And then once you shove it in and out a couple more times, it'll get even further down, and you basically want to repeat this step until the rod is completely submerged under the soil surface. You can use a mallet or a strong piece of wood to hammer it down. That's what I use, is just a piece of wood laying around, to hammer down the top of the rod if it gets really hard to push with your hands. So try to get the rod under the soil completely, especially if the rod has to be in a high foot traffic area, so no one or no machine hits it. Could be dangerous that way if it's exposed in the above surface. Now for testing, to start, I used a multimeter to test for the AC voltage, and wanted to test the successful grounding effect of the newly installed copper wire, which I'll show later. And so you want to make sure your multimeter can measure a wide range of AC voltage, such as 2000, 200, 20, 2, and 200 millivolts. The wide ranges of decimal points. You know, if you want to measure large range, you mainly want to measure the really small amount of volts, because that's what we're dealing with here, is small voltage measurements. But you really just get the whole range if you can. That's ideal. So so in the event that any amount of voltage is reported, it can automatically switch between those units of measurement. So first I tested my body AC voltage. To do this, I put the metal end of the black, it's called COM, C-O-M lead, which is the black lead is the black rod or prod you're going to see later in the video. Put that black colored COM lead on any area of the copper wire that you've installed. And then put the red input lead, which is the other lead that's plugged into the multimeter, and you put that in your other hand. In this example, this is what I did. I clamped my fingers on the metal part of the lead, the red lead, to make sure it's touching the metal measurement part. And then the multimeter would give me a measurement of around 0.012 volts for my body voltage. Now, to see if the copper wire would successfully ground me, while the black lead metal end is still touching the copper wire, and the red input lead metal end is still being clamped by my fingers. So I'll scroll down. I touch the copper wire with another finger, or clamp with another finger, and the multimeter voltage reports dropping to 0 volts, which means the copper wire was able to successfully ground me, which is awesome. So that just can prove to you, if you're curious if it's actually working, use the multimeter and you can actually test the ground connection coming from the ground itself to the rod to the wire, and you test that wire just initially from the ground source to see if it's even working from that area. I think that's what I would do. And so now I'll show you 2 visual example videos, one with the outdoor test, which I just talked about, and one with the indoor second floor bedroom test, where I'm at now. And notice that the outdoor test, my body voltage before the grounding on the wire was almost at 0 volts by default, about 0.012. Compared to the second floor indoor results, my body voltage was actually higher at about 0.660 volts before grounding on the wire. And I think this could be because I was slightly grounded by some sort of contact with the earth elements outside, so it lowered my body voltage slightly by default. And just to be clear, I was wearing rubber boots, so I wasn't like barefoot on the ground, so I wasn't literally grounded at all. None of my skin felt like it was contacting, but it could have been, I don't know, the ions in the air, some sort of elements that I was interacting with outside that could have grounded me more than inside. And I'll show you those videos now. Okay, and so getting into the scenarios of the experiment, I decided to do 2 scenarios of the experiment. First was configuring a long way striped pattern of copper wire, which is the original wire coming from the window and outside from that wire. Took that wire and wrapped it across my bed mattress with a cotton bedspread over the wires. I'll show you a picture now. Then I found that laying down on the bed with the bed sheet over the wires did not ground me completely to 0 volts. But interestingly, it grounded me from about that 0.600 volts to about 0.350 volts, 350 volts. So the wires, it seemed, were able to partially ground me, but not completely. And I think it's because the cotton sheet was lessening the contact between my skin and the wires. And, for whatever reason, that's just how it was. That's what I think. And then the second scenario was configuring a separate copper wire wrapped around the original ground wire coming from the window, just like the first scenario is. And it transfers the ground connection to the new wire I wrapped around the original wire. And with that new wire, I wrapped that around my ankle and foot to get multiple contact to skin points. And I'll show a picture now. And so I tested my body voltage the same way I did outside initially. Once I had the leads connected, I was fully grounded once again with my voltage meter, showing practically 0 volts since the copper was already touching my foot. I didn't need to touch it additionally with another piece of my skin because I was already touching it and grounded immediately once I measured. So that was cool. And I noticed it was almost impossible to keep the volts at 0 sometimes because it would fluctuate back and forth between 0 and 0.050 volts. And I think it's because it depends on the tightness of the copper wire around your skin or on your skin, and the tightness of the wire can shift and loosen depending on the angle and the position that your foot is in, or whatever limb, I guess, you're putting it on. So the strength of the grounded connection can vary. That's kind of a difficult thing, and I found to control in the experiment. So I think that is the entire build setup that I've written down and went over. If there's any other questions, let me know on how the setup worked and other logistics. But now I'm going to get into the data, which is probably what everyone wants to hear. So, sleeping experiment 1, I'm going to go over 7 days. And then the second sleeping experiment I just talked about a second ago, it was also another 7 days. So it was about 14 weeks total. And these are all consecutive days. I didn't take any breaks, any sleeping breaks. I was always testing every day for consecutive 14 days. So the first 7 days, I tried the first scenario, which was the long way striped pattern of cotton wire over my bed mattress with the cotton bed spread over the wires. So day 1, I did not notice any immediate effects after first laying on. Okay, sorry, my phone ran out of storage. So we're gonna pick off where we left off. So we'll start over with day 1. I didn't notice any immediate effects after first laying on the wires. Tried to go to sleep at 10:30 p.m. that night. Took about 30 minutes to go to sleep. It's usually normal for me to take that long to go to sleep, believe it or not. So nothing different there. Coincidentally, I had a headache all day before I even started building the experiment. When I woke up after the first night, in the morning, my headache was gone, but I wasn't sure if that was from the grounding or some other factors. I woke up at 9:45 a.m. Pretty normal for me to sleep that late if there's no alarm. When I woke up, no noticeable energy mood changes. Had several different dreams that night. Took my body voltage measurement in the morning, and I was still partially grounded with the measurement around 0.350 volts. And right on to day 2. Tried going to sleep at 10:30 a.m. And I didn't choose these times specifically. It was just me living naturally and doing things, working late at night on projects or whatever. I didn't plan to go to sleep late. It just happens. And I think that helps the experiment, be more natural and less constrained. So it took me about 15 minutes to go to sleep that night. That's a little less than average for it to take, which was interesting. I did not wake up during the night, which I have done every night for like the last month, and I've had to drink something because I was thirsty. I didn't have to do that that day 2 night, so that was interesting. Had a left side chest pain from doing physical work and labor that day. The chest pain was still there in the morning. I woke up at 10 a.m., no alarm set, no noticeable energy mood changes. Had several different dreams that night again. Took my body voltage in the morning in bed, and was still partially grounded with the measurement around 0.280 volts. So a little bit lower than the day before. Day 3 was on my phone late at night, and I tried going to sleep at like 1:30 a.m. Took about 15 minutes to go to sleep, so really not too bad after just terrible amount of phone usage at night. Little less than average, once again, for it to take. So then, what else? Did not wake up during the night, which I've done, once again, every night for the last month. So that was nice. Chest pain was gone after waking up from that previous day. Not sure what the factors were there. Woke up at 2:20 a.m. From a last second nightmare. I was having a good dream, and then out of nowhere, a nightmare came in, and I woke up with no alarm. But my alarm that day, I had to set it for 8:40 a.m. So maybe something was getting geared up for that alarm in the dream. Who knows? We can talk about that later. But I did not wake up really tired as usual when I do for mornings. when I have to wake up early around 8:30 some weeks. And that might have been because of the nightmare. I had my cortisol like amped already. And so I was just wired as soon as I got up. But I took my body voltage measurement in the morning and was still partially grounded with the measurement around 0.370 volts. Day 4, tried to go to sleep at 11:45 p.m. Took about 15 minutes to go to sleep, a little less than average again for it to take. My average, once again, is 30 minutes usually. Did not wake up during the night, which I've done every night for the last month, and had to drink something once again. Yeah, I didn't have to do any of that, which was pretty convenient for a couple days in a row. Woke up at 9 a.m., went back to sleep, woke up at 9:50, had multiple dreams, and then woke up with no alarm, but the alarm was set for like 9:53 or something. That's what it was specifically. Took my body voltage in the morning in the bed, was still partially grounded, but the measurement around 0.370 volts. Day 5, I tried to go to sleep at about 1 a.m. Took about 15 minutes to go to sleep. Once again, a little less than average for it to take. Did not wake up during the night, once again, which is great. You know what? Hold on. Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. Sorry, thought I missed something. Yep, day 5. Yep. Woke up at 9:30 a.m. Had multiple dreams and woke up with no alarm set. I'm sorry, I woke up without an alarm waking me up, but the alarm was set for 10 a.m. that day. Took my body voltage measure in the morning. Was still partially grounded, but measurement was a lot higher. It was 0.690 volts. Could have been the wire moved or something, and who knows? It was just making less contact with the wire. It's hard to say. Day 6, I tried to go to sleep at 1:45 a.m. Took about 15 minutes to go to sleep, a little less than average for it to take. Once again, did not wake up during the night once again, which was great. Woke up at 9:30 a.m. randomly, multiple dreams. I had one nightmare. Woke up with no alarm, but the alarm was set for 10 a.m. This was the least amount of sleep time required out of all the days in this experiment, which was some kind of data point. Went to sleep at about 2 a.m. Woke up at 9:30, about 7 hours 30. Really short duration for me to sleep. On average, I sleep about 9 hours a day, when I can. Let's see. To finish that, day 6, took my body voltage in the morning, was partially grounded about 0.440 volts. Day 7, tried to go to sleep 2:15 a.m. Took about 50 minutes to go to sleep. Little less average, once again, for it to take. I did wake up during the night, but once. Woke up about like 12:40. I woke up at 12:40 in the morning, or sorry, 12:40 p.m. Had one long, strange dream. I woke up with no alarm. Alarm was set for 10. Okay, that doesn't sound right. No, I didn't set an alarm that day. Yeah, because I wasn't working that day. Yeah. Body voltage, though, in the morning was 0.640 volts. And that was all 7 days of the first scenario experiment. I'll get into takeaways and stuff later. I just want to go strictly through the data real quick. So the second scenario, which was the copper wire wrapped around my ankle and foot for direct skin contact. Day 1, did not notice any immediate effects after first laying with it, and tried going to sleep at 1 a.m. Took about 15 minutes to go to sleep, less time than normal. When I woke up at 7 a.m. randomly for the first time, I had a slight headache pain on the left side of my temple. I'm not sure if that was from the grounding or some other factors, like watching movies. I think I was watching movies like all day that day, and I was just chilling, but watching LED screens. And what also was thirsty that night to drink some water and go back to sleep. So I had that thirst. I fully woke up again 10:30, no alarm, no noticeable energy mood changes. Felt pretty balanced, I guess, though. Had several dreams that night. Body voltage measurement in the morning was just about fully grounded with about a measurement of 0.030. Day 2, tried going to sleep at 11:45 a.m. Took about 15 minutes. Of course, less than usual again. When I woke up at 4 a.m. for the first time, I went back to sleep and then woke up again at 6 a.m. And both times I had to drink some water. I was really thirsty and then went back to sleep. Fully woke up again at 9:30 a.m. Had to use an alarm that day. Felt pretty tired at 9:30. Hit the snooze button. Then I woke up at 9:40. Had several dreams that night. Took body voltage measurement in the morning. About fully grounded was 0.050. And on to day 3. So tried going to sleep at 12 a.m. this night. Took about 15 minutes to go to sleep, less than usual. Woke up at 4 a.m. for the first time. Then woke up again at 6 a.m., just like the night before. And this time I had some milk to drink because I was thirsty and woke up kind of randomly again. And the second time, it's the same thing, and then I went back to sleep. And then I fully woke up again at 8:30, but I had to use an alarm that day. I felt pretty tired at 8:30. Same thing, I had to hit the snooze button, woke up 8:40. Kind of same thing as the day before. Had several dreams that night. Took body voltage measurement in the morning. Still about fully grounded with measurement around 0.040. Day 4. Tried going to sleep at 11:30 a.m. Took about 15 minutes to go to sleep, less than usual again. When I woke up at 5 a.m. for the first time, went back to sleep, and then woke up again at 8 a.m. Both times when I woke up at 5 and 8, I had to drink some milk. And the reason I was starting to drink milk is I thought I needed to calm the nerves down or something, and the water wasn't doing it. Probably dehydrating me more with the water. And so went to sleep and then fully woke up again at 9:50 a.m. No alarm was set. Had several different dreams that night. Tongue twister and a nightmare. Took my body voltage measurement in the morning in bed and was just about fully grounded still. A little bit higher though, about 0.080. I was thinking possibly because there was 6 inches of snow over the ground rod that day. So maybe the snow affects the grounding conductivity. Day 5, tried going to sleep at 10:30 a.m. Took about 30 minutes to go to sleep, which was the longest time so far. But it happens when I try to go to sleep early, even though 10:30 is not early at all for most people. It is for me, currently. So I woke up at 3 a.m. for the first time, and then woke up again at 6 a.m. Had some milk to drink both times because I had that thirst. And then fully woke up again at 8:30 a.m. No alarm. which is rare. Usually don't wake up that early, no alarm. Had several different dreams that night in a nightmare. Took body voltage measurement in the morning. I was about fully grounded still with 0.040. And then I wrote down, I don't think it was the snow from the night before increasing my voltage in the morning, or causing the lack of grounding. So the snow was still there. I got up and saw it, and my grounding measurement was back to 0.040. So maybe the snow didn't affect it. It was just something with me moving around. I haven't woke up at 8:30. No alarm. Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. I wrote that down again. Day 6. Tried going to sleep at 1:30 a.m. Took about 15 minutes to go to sleep, slightly quicker than usual. Like usual all the other days. First night in a while, I did not wake up. Once during the night, I was thinking maybe because I was dead tired from like a dancing event that night before. And I fully woke up at 10 a.m., no alarm. So, yeah. Had several different dreams that night again. Took body voltage in the morning, and I was pretty high that day when I woke up. I was high as in body voltage amount, 0.120. But I noticed strangely when I woke up, the voltage spiked up to 0.120, and then stayed there until I moved around, and then the voltage went down. So I don't know if I was in a weird position. Probably just the wire got contacted again when I moved around. So it just kind of proves that point of the wire positioning being really important to keep you grounded fully. Okay, last day, day 7. Tried going to sleep at 12:30 a.m. Took about 15 minutes to go to sleep. Slightly quicker, of course, than usual. Woke up once again during the night at 1:30 a.m. Wasn't thirsty though, which is rare, but I went back to sleep. Fully woke up at 10:30 a.m. No alarm. Had several different dreams that night. Took body voltage in the morning, and I was just about fully grounded with 0.060. All right, that's all the data. Now I want to get into conclusions and takeaways. I think that's going to be really helpful rather than just plain data for myself and for everyone. So, takeaways. We'll start with this. So I was hoping that my sleep time required each night would shorten so I could have more awake time earlier in the day. But unfortunately that didn't really happen. I think I slept the same amount of time I usually do each night before this grounding experiment. There was no difference really, the amount of time I could even calculate when I wrote down the sleep time and wake time. Wasn't very noticeable. I think I had that one night I went to sleep and it was like between 7 hours 30 minutes and 8 hours 30 minutes. That was like the shortest time, which is not that much of a difference, but it was only one night too. And every other night I was sleeping 9 hours minimum while grounded. So that's that. Excuse me. And then next point, this one's interesting. Every night I was grounded, either partially or fully. My dreams were a lot more intense and vivid. I usually have dreams every night before I did this grounding experiment, but the grounding days, or nights I should say, supercharged the dreaming process and I began to have extremely strange dreams where my perspective would be multiple points of view in the same reality. So, for example, there was a story in my dream where I was part of I don't know, some family's house or something, or maybe just friends. We went outside and we were getting like heisted by some, or robbed by some group. And they were pulling up in their cars, and we came outside and saw the car pull up really fast. And they got out of the car, and then somehow I shifted out of that house owner group, victim group, and I shifted out of that, and I got into this third person view where I was like no longer a part of the victim group, but I wasn't a part of the robbery group. Like I was out of their reality for a second, and it was like I was taking on another personality before something crazy happened to see the big picture. And I didn't mean to do that; it just happened. So it was just trippy because usually my dreams I'm first person view, going through everything myself, and then this happened for the first time where I took this third person perspective, came outside, and I tried to manipulate the evil intention, heisting, robbing people, to stop what they're doing and I don't know, push them away in some weird way or something. But I didn't have any effect. I was outside. I was just observing. So maybe these dreams are, for some reason, they're just more diverse from a perspective point of view. It forces you to look at things a different way. Maybe look at it from the robber's perspective, like what their intentions are, where they're going, and I don't know. It's hard to explain. Dreams are hard to explain. They're just fast moving for me, and certain ones like that will stick, and so I have to talk about them if they stick. Another one that stuck was, I forgot to add on the extra conclusion to that dream, is that I think whatever energies or I don't know, spirits or whatever, I think they're from the grounding connection, talking to me in a way and showing me you need to look at things from other perspectives, and what is truly evil, what is the reason for why things are doing certain things. So breaking down things more, understanding them at the root level, so then you can make better decisions going forward. That's what it felt like, which is a good reality check, instead of just looking at it from your own point of view and almost being short-sighted. And the other one that was really powerful, which I've gotten for on and off years, is dreams about playing in my high school football team, which I used to do actually, and I always get dreams about that once, I don't know, every now and then. It's kind of random, there's no frequency to it or routine, and I feel that now I'm realizing it's such a strong point in my life where I felt like I was in a tribe. Now that I'm, hearing it from other people as well, it makes sense. It's like you were in a band of brothers, and you were going through challenges and hardships together for years of your life, which doesn't ever happen in society nowadays. No one is really bonded for a long period of time, and I feel like that's just the modern society we live in. And so this grounding experiment boosted that, amplified that notion, and my dreams were so vivid with that bond I had with the high school team. And I'm really, I used to be thought high school football was cringe and everything. It was just period of time where it's just meaningless. But now it's like, dude, that was like one of the realest connections I had with people, and especially guys, you know, men together, you know, going into war, if you want to say, not really war, but, you know, doing these masculine tasks together, it's powerful, instead of doing it by yourself. So I think it was a sign of, you know, connecting back in with harmony with nature, telling me I should get back into a tribe of people and, you know, do these things that make me feel stronger as a man. So yeah, it's very hard to explain, but that's kind of where I got with that. Let me get on to my energy. My energy never noticeably got worse or improved in the morning after being grounded in both experiments. Kind of just stayed the same. Straight up, that was it. I thought it would get a little bit better. That was my hypothesis, but it didn't really happen. But carrying on into the next point, I think it's possible that you're not going to feel noticeably the effects of the grounding, because sleeping is going on during the majority of the time in this experiment. So you can't like really feel it because you're probably in your dream state doing other things, can't really notice it. And also the grounding benefits could be happening at such a small scale and healing cells and doing other body recalibration, once again at a very small scale, so we can't really feel the effects in this short amount of time. That I just tested like 2 weeks, that's it. So maybe I need to do more consistent grounding for months to feel any real effects or changes, positive or negative. So yeah, as a thought. No noticeable difference between the two types of grounding methods I used. The wire wrapped around the mattress under the bed sheet and the direct skin contact wrapped around the ankle. I'm sure the more grounded you are, the better off you are. So I'd recommend this direct skin contact method if possible. Like I said earlier, when doing the direct skin method, I could not figure out a way to stay completely grounded from when I went to sleep and woke up. Because in the morning I would always be slightly above 0 volts. And I think it's because the wire, I kind of mentioned this earlier, but make sure I make it clear. I think it was because the wire bends with the body movement overnight and it loses that grounding contact. And so you need to find a way to have consistent copper connection to the body, like touching connection, to maintain 0 volts, completely grounded volts at 0. And I imagine sleeping directly on the earth floor, like outside, is the guaranteed way to ground with 0 volts at all times, because it's just right at the source. And I mean, if you're making contact with even a micro part of your skin, like the grounding is so strong outside. Compared to with the wire, you wrap it around pretty tight and you'll get that 0 grounded voltage, but as soon as you kind of like loosen up and move around after a while, it loosens the grounding effect, or lessens the grounding effect, be more precise. And so I think this could be more effective for people working at desks and around computers all day, to try to negate the effects of all the high EMFs around you and going into you. And I think I'm going to try that next. Not sure to what scale or how I'm going to document it, but I think I want to try that kind of an awake and moving around electronics kind of grounding experiment. That'd be interesting. See how I feel. doing that day to day. But yeah, this was a lot of data. Some of it a very little bit of it was useful in my opinion, and most of it was just, it felt like I was in my default state before grounding. I really don't feel like a new person or anything. It's not that monumental in 14 days. If anyone has any suggestions how I could do the experiment better, what I messed up possibly, or maybe any conclusions based off the data I put in here, please let me know, because I just made conclusions literally today, after the last 14th day of the experiment. So this is fresh off of the experiment, so I could kind of keep all the dreams and stuff fresh in my mind and all that. Most of the dreams, as the last point, were so almost so vivid that I couldn't like grab onto any of the events and memorize what was going on. They were just all over the place. And the ones I just talked about earlier, those are the ones I could rationalize and remember. Dreams are so strange. Like, it's like your brain chooses to remember some and some not so much. That's a whole nother world itself, and experimentation. It's just dreaming and what it means and what affects your dreams. I think the grounding does affect the dreams. I think that's the last point that really was noticeable, if anything, is your dreams are kind of hypercharged in a way. Yeah, that's it. Sorry if this was a little long, but I had to kind of just say everything that could have been a factor to the experiment, and the data that came out of it. So yeah, looking forward to experiment more with grounding. We'll see where it goes. All right.